Thank you so much, dear Minister Den Dobry. At least there is a benefit that I'm coming from a Slavic world, and it's a great pleasure to be here in Prague for the first time since I'm a Commissioner for Enlargement. When I was talking about the enlargement in December, it was different than how I talk about the enlargement today. Why that? The world is changing so quickly. The geopolitics is changing so quickly. In December, we were talking about how the war in Ukraine is influencing the enlargement process. Today, we are talking about how the geopolitics and different trade relations in the world are changing the enlargement process. And enlargement, being the most successful foreign policy of the European Union, is suddenly the politics who can also bring benefits to the security and defense of the European Union. So our continent, Europe, is of course in motion, and we see a lot of changes, and we will have to do a lot more about our own security. But I'm confident that the European Union can adapt to this new world because we have always emerged from crisis stronger in the past. After the food and farmers crisis, we got the European agriculture policy. Then having problems in the economy in the 80s, we have established our common market. So I'm really curious what will be the result of the changes we are in nowadays. In the last few, if I go a bit broader months, we have already launched some very important initiatives where we have already included our candidate and neighboring countries, like defense strategy 2030, where Ukraine is a very important part. We have done the preparedness strategy where already the candidate countries are, or a new steel action plan, or many other programs, and the European Democracy Shield will follow, where we, to the extent which was never before present, we see how valuable the candidate countries can be. Today, in this complex world, we are stable, we are predictable, and we are reliable. And these are the reasons why so many countries want to join the EU, and because they want to belong to the community of values or having the euro. This is why President von der Leyen told us a few days back that she could be on the phone all day to answer all the calls from around the world with the countries who want more trade and better economic ties with Europe, from India, New Zealand, Mexico. But this is also true here in Europe. Iceland intends to hold a referendum on restarting accession talks. With Iceland, in the past, we have already closed 13 negotiating chapters, so we hope that they will come back. Public sentiment towards the EU is at its highest in Norway in 25 years. And recently, for the first time ever, Switzerland attended an EU finance ministers meeting. These are small changes which could really mean a lot in the future. So it is very clear that in difficult times, our unity, the unity of Europe, is our greatest strength, because together we can stand, and together we must stand up to autocracies who would like to see us fail. We are in a new phase of the enlargement process. Never before there have been disruptive external forces who would like to see us fail. Now, for the first time, there are huge disinformation campaigns, also in some of the member states, and especially in the candidate country. So, standing up against the autocracies who would like to see Europe fail, this is the logic of our enlargement policy. Of course, when we are dealing with the candidate countries, we are asking them a lot. Slovenia and Czechia have gone through the same process when we became a member of the EU in 2004. So EU membership is not a charity. So the candidate countries have to do a lot. And also the member states are profiting then from the newcomers. So they have to prove that they are able fighting corruption, having independent judges, having reliable democratic institutions, ensuring freedom of media, which is now more and more important. Why is this so important? Because those institutions are the basis for trust and cooperation. This is why, me especially in the latest time, I do not speak only about the enlargement. I love to speak about the unification of Europe. It has never happened before. And with the candidate countries coming 6 from the Western Balkans, then Ukraine and Moldova, and if Iceland will come back and Turkey is still at the still, we could really build a Europe as never before. Today I will speak at the business conference. I think that larger Europe is also a win-win for our businesses. 80% of Czech trade is with EU partners. And for them, there are a lot of opportunities in the future members of the EU, not least because those countries are already starting to use EU standards, which makes export easier, and because the reforms we are already doing with them are improving the rule of law, so much needed, or legal certainty, so much needed in today's businesses. And I will finish with Slovenia, where I come from, and Czechia both joined 21 years back now, and we both made a success out of our membership. Czechia has even overpassed Slovenia. So we worked hard for it, but we have shown that building stable democracies brings economic success, it brings prosperity, and it brings safety. And our countries are the best proof that this is possible. And this is very valuable experience as we are helping future members to follow these footsteps. And I'm very happy to know that I can count on the support of Czechia as we are preparing those who see their future with us for membership, for the unification of Europe. And somehow with this we are going back to the roots why the EU has been established. EU member states are confronted with 3 big challenges: the challenge of freedom, the challenge of peace, and the challenge of prosperity. And those challenges can only be solved on the European level. These are not my words. I'm quoting Simone Weil, and she said those words as the first female president of the European Parliament in 1979. So Europe is about peace, freedom, prosperity, and today we could add security.
Thank you.